3 weeks, you'll have it done at least a couple of days before then. Great. No matter how prepared you normally are, there will always be an occasion in which you'll have to write a speech at the very last minute. And that came true, and I'll give you a story of how it came true, not for me, but for a very well-known person, which I witnessed. Early in my career, I was a telecommunications engineer, and I had attended an international telecommunications conference, attended by many dignitaries from around the world. And since it was hosted in Canada, actually in Vancouver, the keynote speaker of that conference was the Prime Minister at the time, Brian Mulroney. So I'm dating myself right now. And the way that the presentations were lined up, Brian, being the keynote speaker, was the very last person to speak. And as each of the dignitaries came up, the way that the presentations were laid out was all their presentations were on the lectern, and all they need to do was pick up their speech and start delivering. The person who was to speak just before Brian was the ambassador from the Arab Emirates. And he came up, picked up a speech, and started to deliver it. During the course of his speech, he was telling the audience about all the wonderful innovations that Canada had contributed to the telecommunications industry. The ambassador also further talked about what a proud Canadian he was to be part of this as a country and had contributed so much. And as the speech went on, it became quite clear that he was delivering Brian Mulroney's speech. So by the end of the speech, as the audience politely clapped as he walked off the stage, we could all see Brian off in a corner, madly scribbling away. A little bit off, but still. Now as he was walking up to the stage, or to the lectern, all eyes was on Brian. And now it was a test of his resilience. Was he going to redo the speech, or was he going to do something else? And the speech that he gave that evening was one of the most memorable speeches I had ever heard. Brian, being trained as a lawyer, a commercial lawyer, doesn't know anything about telecommunications or telecommunications law. So what he talked about that evening was about the telephone and how the telephone was such an important instrument in his life. Starting from when he was a young child, his family was one of the founding families of a community called Baie-Comeau in northern Quebec. And at that time, all the households in Baie-Comeau were connected together by a single party line. And for the younger people, I don't know whether you know what a party line is, but it's just a single telephone line in which when the telephone rings, every family in the community can hear it ring. And how you recognize whether the call is for you or for another family is every family was assigned a distinctive ring pattern. And even to today, Brian still remembers the ring pattern for his family. He talks later on about a very important call when Mila was pregnant with Ben, but unfortunately he was not available to be at the delivery room at that time, so he got that very important call saying that both Mila and Ben were fine when Mila delivered. And he talked about other very important events that he had either talked or heard through his telephones, and just a wonderful speech. So even the Prime Minister of Canada, with his entourage and speechwriters, still have to, at the last minute, sometimes write his own speech. So the question now is, how do you write a speech in 15 minutes? Of course, like Brian, you're not going to be able to do any type of research. So you're going to have to write a speech about something that you already know. So everybody here has a worksheet. And on that worksheet, the first thing that I want you to do is write A topic. What do you want to speak about? And all it needs to be is just a simple sentence, just 5, 7, 10 words. Just a thought as far as what do you want to talk about. See, some people know that right off the top of their head. Other people are still making a decision. So with any speech that you give, what are the 2 parts of the speech that are most memorable? The
opening and your closing statement.
Exactly. So the next thing that I want you to do is write an opening related to your topic that will catch the audience's attention. And the other thing that I would like you to write is your conclusion. Either a thought that you would like to leave with the audience or an action that you would like the audience to take. So the next thing that I would like you to do is write down 6 large topics that is related, 6 large areas related to your topic that you would like to talk about. So 6 broad areas related to the topic that you would like to talk about. Toastmasters is 5 to 7 minutes. So unfortunately, you're not going to be talking about all the six areas. So I want you to cross out 3 of them. And with those 3 remaining areas, major areas, I would like you to order them in what order you want. And which ones do you want to eliminate and which ones do you want to keep? Think of your conclusion. Think of how you want to get to that conclusion and what are the areas that are most relevant to getting to that conclusion that you want. And that will also determine in what order you want those areas that you want to talk about. So once you've eliminated the 3 and the 3 remaining ones, you've ordered them, now go to the minor points. So for each major point, write down 3 pieces of details about that particular area that you want to talk about. So altogether there will be 9 minor points, 3 for each major. How are we doing on time? Madam Timer?
1 minute more and it will be
Okay.
green light.
So now that most of you have finished, there's one last but very important thing that you still need to do. Now you've written basically your speech, you still need a speech title. So what I would like you to do is write down what you would like your title to be.
Kim.
Okay. How are we doing on time?
2 minutes, 34 seconds
Okay.
in the second period.
The light's been green for a while though. Okay, there we go.
You put
So-
Madam Timer into difficult position, trying to write a speech
I know,
and
it's-
a time.
It's hard, I know.
It's hard. So what I would like now is some volunteers who would be willing to
Yeah.
deliver a speech that they've, excellent. Excellent, excellent. So we have 1, 2, 3. And do you have your competent communicator manual with you?
I'm beyond.
Oh, you're beyond. Do you have your
I
competent?
certainly do.
Okay, then I'll go with Kim.
Oh.
Okay, and you have your competent communicator manual, and do you have your? No,
I am
okay.
beyond, so.
Okay.
Why don't we start with Fariel?
Okay, Faria.
And then do we have somebody else that wants to volunteer that's in the CC as well?
Jack isn't here.
Jack, do you want to do one? Are you good, Jack?
I do. I put my hand.
Okay.
Okay.